The best Turkish restaurant is my residence, of course, but we are looking at possibilities of jointly producing some equipment. We are even looking at the possibility of jointly designing some equipment. Turkey, as you said, does not recognize the annexation. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
You've mentioned the economic cooperation, and I think this is the best way to slightly move from the political agenda to the economic one and speak about the economic cooperation between Ukraine and Turkey. So Turkey is among the top 10 economic and trade partners of Ukraine, actually. However, the FTA agreement is still being prepared, and during the last visit and during the last talk between the presidents, they decided to start from scratch. So why does this process take so long? Are there any skeptics and critics, and if there are, how to convince them that this agreement will do better for both countries?
No, I think there might be a misunderstanding, because the issue is not about starting from scratch, but it's about reboosting the negotiations, because we have already covered a lot of ground. We have approached the final, let's say, final turn, and I am hoping that we are now at a stage where we are about to finalize, about to wrap it up. Actually, the Deputy Economy Minister of Ukraine is in Ankara as we speak. They are continuing their negotiations on the free trade agreement as a follow-up to the summit between our presidents. So, yes, of course, when you look at Turkey and when you look at Ukraine, these are two big countries. These are two big economies. So when you try to create a free trade agreement between these two countries, there will always be some difficult issues, because some steps, some liberation attempts will cause jobs, will cause unemployment in some sectors. But I think we need to look at the big picture here. What we are talking about by signing this free trade agreement is not changing how much of this cake I eat and how much you eat. We're talking about making the cake bigger. That's the whole thing. I love the way President Zelensky puts it.
Kazan kazan.
Win-win. That's what we're looking at. And I do understand that some sectors have their anxieties, both in Turkey and in Ukraine. But I also remember 1995, when we signed customs union with EU. There were many people in Turkey saying, this will ruin Turkish economy, this will destroy sectors, this will cause thousands of unemployment. But now, partly due to the competitiveness which we achieved as a result of the customs union, Turkey is an economy that can export high-tech goods to markets like United States and Europe in a very competitive manner. So, while looking at the sensitivities, I am sure that we can come up with a good formula which will address these concerns, but help us make the cake bigger.
Turkish investors keep an eye on the Ukrainian economy. What makes Ukraine an attractive place for their money?
Well, I mean, I just said Ukraine is a big country. It's a developing economy, and we see a bright future for Ukraine. So do the Turkish business people. So does the Turkish business community. And that's why we have about $4 billion of Turkish investment in Ukraine. And we are talking about not just one or two companies, but hundreds of companies, not concentrated in one or two cities of Ukraine, but all over Ukraine, from Lviv to Mariupol, from Khmelnytsky to Kharkiv, so where you are from, right? They see a great potential in Ukraine. Are there things which could be better? There is always room for improvement, but the investments are not getting lower, they keep growing. And that's why we have great faith that the situation will only get better and we will see more and more Turkish investment. We have some special ideas on what we can do together with Ukraine. These include two special concepts. One is public-private partnership. This is the model which Turkey employed in order to realize gigantic projects such as the third bridge connecting Asia and Europe, or the huge city hospitals which have worked wonders at the time of pandemics. Actually, when Prime Minister Shmyhal was in Turkey in November, he visited Ankara City Hospital, and he also was quite impressed by this project. So we are now talking with Ukrainian authorities on how we can implement this PPP model and even do some similar hospital projects or other projects in Ukraine. The second special concept is the organized industrial zone concept, which we use in Turkey, where local administration, central government and private business come together. Central administration helps with tax reliefs, tax exemptions. Local administration helps with the infrastructure, and business puts money and production into it. And this we now call many cities in Turkey as Anatolian tigers. They weren't tigers before. These organized industrial zones transformed them into tigers. So I know there are industrial park ideas in Ukraine. They are growing, but our concept is slightly different. We are also exploring how we can realize this concept in Ukraine, and there are emerging examples of those. So these will certainly take Turkish-Ukrainian economic cooperation to even higher levels.
And attract more Turkish investors, I hope.
Indeed, indeed.
You mentioned the hospitals, and let's slightly move to the topic of pandemics. Unfortunately, the situation in Turkey is as difficult as in Ukraine, and it's the quarantine restrictions, and lots of shops and lots of restaurants are closed, both in Ukraine and in Turkey. However, Turkey, unlike other countries, has a very attractive approach to the tourists, and while the citizens are not allowed, for example, to go somewhere, the tourists are allowed to do practically everything. So how do the Turkish citizens accept this fact?
I wouldn't want to relate the Turkish public reaction to tourists traveling around the city freely, because those are, in principle, different things. We in Turkey are taking necessary measures to contain the pandemic and make sure that we can give as much freedom to people as possible, both in terms of economic wise and their daily lives wise. And that is why there are times where we take extra precautions, and then those are sometimes loosened to a certain extent. Obviously, tourists who visit Turkey while these restrictions are in place are not affected by these restrictions, but I don't think these relate to one another. So when we look at summer tourism, when we look at the months ahead, we certainly expect a going down in the number of cases in Turkey, and the tourists who will be going to Turkey, a high majority of them will spend their vacations in resorts and in hotels where they won't be affected by these measures at all in the first place. So when you look at the upcoming months, I see a positive picture, and we are taking all necessary measures to make sure that the cases in Turkey go down. The vaccination is going very strong. We are also working on a special program on vaccinating people working in the tourism sector, especially. While doing these vaccination and precaution programs, we are also continuing to improve this special safe tourism certificate program we developed, and which is probably the best in the world. We are now making it even better based on the experience from last year.
Continuing the topic of tourism, Russia banned its tourists from coming to Turkey till June 1st, if I'm not mistaken, right? So how will it affect the economy of Turkey? And do you connect this decision to the recent visit of President Zelensky to Turkey and to agreements between our presidents that Russians may think would harm Turkish-Russian relations?
Yes, I mean, the decision will have an impact, obviously, but I think the impact of that decision will not be dramatic. That is one. Second, of course, I mean, the person who should answer why this decision was taken is not me, but the party who took the decision. But I want to underline that, as far as I understand, this is not a specific measure against Turkey, but an overall measure for preventing Russian tourists from going abroad, not only to Turkey, but some other countries as well. Now, that issue aside, what we see here, as you and me, people living in Ukraine, should be opportunity for Ukrainian tourists, right? Because probably we will have more space for us, more food for us, and that is why I think this may allow Ukrainians to spend longer holidays in Turkey with better prices.
Yeah, that's a pleasure. Yeah, that's a pleasure to be in a places where there are no Russian tourists. Okay, so as we are coming to the end of our interview, I would like us to finish in a very positive note, as Ukraine and Turkey have expanded traffic between two of our countries and added 112 flight frequencies per week. So we will definitely enjoy this opportunity to go to Turkey, and we'll hope that Turkish citizens will also come here. So please, any tips for Ukrainian tourists regarding this season in Turkey?
Book now. Yeah, so I mentioned that we expect a drop down in the figures in the upcoming months, and this is based on our very powerful vaccination program, which is currently ongoing, and also this safe tourism certificate program. Maybe I can give you a bit more detail on that. This program was conceptualized and implemented last year, and this is not just something we cooked in Turkey, but this basically involves global inspection companies which come and do site checks, hotel controls. You have about more than 150 criteria within this safe tourism certificate. The moment you start your travel on your plane, the crew, the cabin itself, airport, the vehicle in which you move from the airport to the hotel, the measures in the hotel, safety measures, health hygiene measures of the personnel working in the hotel, the way food is served, even the distance between the chaiselongs at the beach. So these are all taken into account in order to maximize the level of hygiene. And this way, we have come up with an amount of 1 million Ukrainian tourists last year, despite the pandemic. So I think this clearly shows how successful this program was. And we are as transparent, as open as we can be. Last year, Minister Kuleba was in Turkey, in Antalya. He had a first-hand look on the measures we took in July. This week, Minister of Culture of Ukraine, together with head of tourism agency, they are going to Ukraine. They will again have a look at the improved measures, because we took last year's measures and we took them to the next level this year with additional steps. So this whole program is proceeding very smoothly, and I think the only tip I can give to Ukrainian tourists is, as I said, book now before the prices go higher.
That's great.
And we should do that as well.
Right after we'll finish.
As we come to an end of our interview, we would like to ask you a traditional question that we ask all the guests of Kyiv Not Kyiv. What should the viewers and listeners of Kyiv Not Kyiv keep in mind after they see the interview with the ambassador of Turkey to Ukraine?
Okay. Well, I believe that your viewers will be the judge of that. I am representing a country which has long traditional ties with Ukraine. And one of the most interesting projects we realized while I was working here was putting a memorial plaque on the wall of the building which hosted the Ottoman embassy during Ukraine's People's Republic period. So that is a signal that Turks and Ukrainians have not met one another after 1991. Our roots go way back. We go way deeper than that. And I think every tourist, either Ukrainian who goes to Turkey or Turk who comes to Ukraine, realize that there is something from each other in the places that they go, in the people that they meet. And because of historic reasons, we were unable to fully visualize, to feel this connection. But I think Turkish-Ukrainian relations are now at a level where people clearly see this. And not only see it, but start to feel it. So let your viewers take the best of what we talked about today, what they feel most close to. And the Turkish Embassy, our culture center, our language courses, our activities on promoting Turkish culture, we are always ready to answer any questions that they come up with. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to reach out to your viewers. And I wish everybody health, first of all, happiness and prosperity.
Great.
Thank you very much.
So many thanks for the interview. We are now coming to the very end. These were Polina Bashuk and Tetiana Haiduk.
And we had a brilliant conversation with Yağmur Ahmet Güldere, ambassador of Turkey to Ukraine. And I hope this conversation was kazan-kazan to both of us.
Stay safe, stay kind, and remember the most important thing. It's Kyiv, not Kiev. From Ukraine with love. Many thanks. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.